Drive Alive Day that we run here in North Yorkshire is a multi-agency day with professionals from the police, the fire service, a drink drugs driving specialist and the Great North Air Ambulance and our own road safety team. And it gives young people an opportunity to look at the issues surrounding their own risk out on the roads and to help them to make decisions that will keep them safe. Young people face different pressures on them compared to a more experienced driver. Peer pressure, inexperience, getting used to travelling in situations where they wouldn't have come across in preparing for a driving test, like driving at night or on dual carriageways and motorways. So this day is about giving them information which will help them deal with those situations.
I've learned the realisation of what can actually happen if you don't take things seriously.
I've learnt that it's really important to wear a seatbelt. I've learnt that if you're scared in a car situation, like when you're driving with a friend, you should always tell them if you're scared about how they're driving. You don't know what's going to come around the corner, you don't know what's going to happen to you.
It's been worthwhile because you basically just learnt about how severe things can get in like crashes and the difference between crashing at 30, crashing at a higher speed when you're not meant to.
Also learnt useful information about how to buy a car, all the details and all the things you need from it, and good advice about what type of car to go to, because you learn that as well.
We've done the Drive Alive programme here for quite a few years in actual fact, and we think it's really, really important to collapse the timetable for a day and yet let Year 12 have this experience, to have a bit of a fun day, to have some information, but also to have quite a hard-hitting message at the end about the fact that driving has got quite a few sort of issues to deal with as well as there's the fun aspect to it, but you have to be careful with what you're doing.
On a Drive Alive Day, we look at issues other than the practical skill of handling a car. We look at things that are going on that might influence the way the driver behaves, the choices that they make as a driver, and sometimes those choices can lead to disastrous consequences. And I'm afraid we introduce them to a family who've experienced that, so that they can tell firsthand what it's like to live with the loss of a loved one.
Seeing the man and the lady about the son made me really think that he was only young and like I'm going to get to that age and I'm going to be driving. Makes you realise you've just got to be extra careful because you don't know what's coming around the corner and you don't know what can happen, and just to stay safe really and always wear a seatbelt.
I think really the things I would say to people is just think what you're doing. Everybody thinks that nothing's ever going to happen to them, but unfortunately it happens to lots of families around the country. So think about the speeds you're going, ease off, read the road a little bit better, don't overload your car with friends, ignore what your friends are saying, drive to your own abilities. Avoid having any alcohol, avoid using your mobile phone when driving, keep those distractions down to a minimum and just concentrate on what's going on. And if you're going to be late home, let somebody know. If you don't trust the driver getting a lift with, ring home, phone for a taxi, come home by a safe means rather than taking a risk. A big problem with young drivers is lack of experience, so I would advise gaining more experience by undertaking a Pass Plus course once you've passed your driving test. Here in North Yorkshire we have an enhanced scheme whereby we subsidise as an authority the cost of that and also have a new driver discussion group. But look at websites as well. Our own is roadwise.co.uk and there's lots of useful advice on there. But don't be frightened of asking for help and don't take those risks.
I've been in this job now for 12 years, and in those 12 years we have lost 3 students in car accidents. So I think it's absolutely crucial that students get that message when they first start learning to drive, that they've got to be careful. Most accidents happen within those first few years of driving. If we get that message across from the start, when they first get their provisional licence, then hopefully, fingers crossed, we think that we're going to have much more safer drivers out there.
I think it's been worthwhile because you learn things that you haven't realised before, mainly because it gives you a different perspective.
You've got to just think about your own safety and make sure that everyone else and who you're driving with is going to be safe as well.
It's just basically an eye-opener to driving.